about VCs in the space. It obviously is a core protocol. Ergo decided to do a fair launch. Now, one thing that means is that any VC at any time can start accumulating ERG on the open market, right? So it is also true that post-launch, you have a token that has potentially been, let's say, live on the open market for, in the case of Ergo, almost 2.5 years, right? To where if a VC wanted to come in, I don't think that's an issue. Part of decentralization is freedom, freedom of choice, right? So where if somebody wants to do that, I'm not going to stop them. Now, in terms of project launches, it certainly is a way to accelerate the path to market. I can see the appeal of it. You come in, you have marketing plugged in, you have market access oftentimes lined up. And that is something that going through a fair launch is painful to create because, you essentially turn on a network, right? And then, you slowly build a community and attract developers. And so I can definitely see the use case. Now, the trade-off of it is oftentimes you have somebody that has price control power that, if you have a responsible VC that's actually trying to create value, I don't necessarily think that's a negative, but it is a potential adversary for anybody that buys on top of them, right? And we do see projects in the space where, considering that they have that price control, they have market making, that they're kind of paying for, they have just tremendous power in that ecosystem. So even though the consensus itself is, perhaps decentralized, the actual power structure within is highly centralized. And, that can create the trade-off. Now, the truth of the matter is most users don't seem to care, and that's a little sad. I think sometimes they set themselves up where, they go into a situation where another party has price control and, has really sexy marketing and has bought market access and has market making to, give very attractive metrics. You just got honeypotted in some cases. It happens. Be careful. I do think that underlying tokenomics matter, but I'm not going to say VCs are always bad actors. I'm not going to say they don't have an investment to build value. In some cases, it's just a matter of kind of their time frame and their investment strategy. And be aware of that.
Yeah, I would say, Joe, actually, this has been coming up a lot, because in our space, I think, some are creating, like cartoon villains out of VCs. And yes, I do agree that price control by VCs is not what we should have, 100%. But we also need to be realistic. Not all VCs are evil. They're not the Nazis, okay? Because that is what some people are going to make them out to be. The problem isn't VCs. The problem is predatory business practices. Right. And yes, some VCs engage in predatory business practices. But you don't have to be a VC to engage in those practices. You just have to be somebody with a bunch of money. And those are just happen to be VCs. But there's also, I know some really, like really good and fair VCs that are, that do add value to the ecosystems, that do create products for ecosystems that are not abusive of the ecosystem.
I think you can usually find that based on reputation, to be honest. And a lot of that has to do with like time horizons and commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's again, you can't paint everybody with the same brush. Exactly. There, of course, you have some VCs that have given a lot of the other VCs in the space a bad name. We're not going to name any names, but we know, we all know who those are. Okay, but we should not be completely turned off to the actual concept of a venture capitalist.
No.
That's just how I think. And this is over 20 years of experience talking. This is not just blockchain. This is coming from the .com era, because the .com era was ruled by VCs. I mean, that's nobody even talked about. It's like, oh, VCs. I don't need any VC money. People are looking for VC money. And yeah, there were some VCs that really took advantage of people and they screwed them. Okay. And then they dumped on them. But it's not because they're VCs, it's because they're just assholes. So, I mean, that's the bottom line. If you find somebody who's just fair in business, who's got a reputation, like Joe said, who's got a good reputation for not abusing their power and to helping an ecosystem, there's nothing wrong with having them be involved in the ecosystem. We just need to understand who we're dealing with and be careful about it. That's all.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of teams, right, that are very strong in development, right? That's their skill set. But in terms of, let's say, bringing a product to market, understanding the regulatory environment of the market, certainly there can be tremendous value in getting assistance there. But it's just a matter of know who you get in bed with, That can go a lot of different ways.